Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our ongoing study in Metaphysics by Borden Parker Bowne, published in 1882. We've discovered that for Professor Bowne, metaphysics is triune. It must include phenomenology and system and state of mind. We have concluded phenomenology, and now in this lesson we will conclude system or cosmology, and then our next lesson will begin psychology or state of mind. So his system is always it's triune. It is phenomenology, system, and state of mind for metaphysics. So in this lesson we're going to conclude cosmology or system, and it's going to look at pages 273 to 348. And he gives a good summary of a system here in this lesson. So we're going to look at matter, force, and mechanism as the categories for closing up his discussion of system within metaphysics. Let's begin with block 1 and take a look at matter and force. Bowne tells us that the new activity of being springs up from the moment of manifestation. It gives birth to new intensities of interrelation. It's all a result of agency for Bowne. All things are perpetually acquiring new forces, and the order of manifestation reveals to us the laws or the principles that are at work. The space of interaction or spatial relation determines the variation of being and the variation of these new intensities and these new forces. So in note 2, new forces are born in new circumstance. Interrelation determines the varying intensities and the qualitative variation. We posit the notion of the indestructibility of force, says Bowne. Matter and force are not to be held apart as separate notions. Force is place-determining force of matter. It is a relational concept. It is a relational concept. Spatial position is a result of ongoing interrelation. Now under new intensity, or note 3 in block 1, we look at new intensity and new circumstance, giving birth to an effective spatial relation. We look at defining a thing's position in real space. The ground of this real space is the idea of the whole. It is the eschatological idea of the whole. Things have their forces expressed in the meaning of the whole. So spatial relation reflects metaphysical relation for Bowne. The sphere of force equals a thing's coexistence in interrelation. It's all about spatial relation. All laws of force have the holistic purpose as their ground. It is all based in the eschatological holistic purpose. So if you look at note 4, in note 4, Bowne gives us a sevenfold, almost a summary of his cosmology in block 1, note 4, under the heading of the unity of the infinite. All things are comprised in the unity of the infinite. There are a series of related elementary activities within the infinite, and that creates the manifestation of spatial relation of matter. And that is conditioned by interrelation. But all of this is guided by the plan of the whole. So these activities within the infinite pass from form to higher form, and that will include variation in intensity and character. That is his cosmological picture right there. That is a 7-point summary of Bowne's cosmological picture. So it's a great summary for us to have at the first moment of this lesson, but it really does show that it is the plan of the whole that determines interrelation and eschatological purpose. It is the plan of the whole. And that will involve varying intensities as it transitions from form to higher form. Now in Block 2, we'll take a look at force and mechanism. Bowne posits organic theory over mechanism. Organic theory demands a unity in nature. Mechanical theory posits the whole only as a sum of parts. Some have sought to join together conscious intelligence and necessary mechanism. But the controlling idea can only exist in a consciousness of personhood, says Bowne. For Bowne, it is essential to posit this consciousness of personhood. Organic theory abbreviates two concepts, mind and mechanism. Mind governs by laws and principles. Mechanism is driven from behind. So under mind and mechanism, mind produces an outcome of purpose. Mind and mechanism are united under the notion of final cause. There's that eschatology again of the whole, the notion of final cause. Idea is realized through mechanism, but controlling idea is the plan of the Creator. Within interaction, system implies that the adjustment of the members follows the transition from state to higher state. The mind enlists the fixed laws to reach the posited end. So mind or idea does enlist mechanism to reach posited end. The movement of rational thought relies on fixed laws. That is essential. So that brings us to 3. Organic theory plus mind and mechanism equals the movement of rational thought, the eschatological movement of rational thought. Mechanical theory supplies the principle of method, which must be coupled with teleology and explanation of a teleology purpose. The mind demands a continuity of law within system. The laws of interaction are essential to system. Laws of interaction mediate between the physical system and the instrument of intelligence. And the system, the instruments of intelligence. So under Note 4, the movement of thought must be a realized movement of thought. It must transition from theoretical final cause to practical efficient cause. Mechanical theory must assume and admit system as phenomena and laws. Mechanical theory expresses the laws of interaction, but it does not found those laws of interaction, but it does express them. So theoretical final clause has to transition to practical efficient cause, that outgoing desire to reach verification of the theoretical sign model. And that takes us on to Block 3 and mechanism and organism. Mechanism and organic theory, or mechanism and organism. And we first look at organism as matter and motion. Forces vary according to the relation of things. Organization is deduced from the interaction of life with matter, the interaction of idea with matter. Organization encloses the laws of matter and the laws of life or idea. Organism includes matter and motion, but then Bowne adds that feeling and thought can only be introduced into system by positing a unitary subject, the infinite unitary subject. The creative action of God includes the production of animal and human minds. So feeling and thought are introduced by the positing of conscious unitary subject. For Bowne, this is essential. We must posit conscious unitary subject. So we can move on to organism as mind. The order of manifestation is founded in the plan of God. Physical elements are forms of activity of the infinite, and the forces are expressions of mutual relation within that plan of the infinite. So life is viewed as a formula of divine activity, says Bowne. Teleology flow moves from purpose to efficient realization. So now we're brought to that concept of realization again, realization of telos. Matter and its laws bring about the realization of infinite purpose. We posit organism as phenomenal materialism, which would include mind, and absolute spiritualism. The real is the immanence of God, and that creates the forms of manifestation. Organic theory will include final clause and unity within the system. Organic theory denies the independence of mechanism. Mechanism is dependent upon the infinite. Organic theory coincides with teleology and enlists mechanism as a complement. An interaction takes place according to the fixed laws that have been taken in as a complement to teleology. So, just as a reminder, let's go back to Block 1, Note 4, because I really like this. This is really closing up the section on cosmology. It's closing up the section on system. Bowne has given us a great phenomenology. We had a great composite lesson on his phenomenology, which ran from pages 1 to 101. A great composite phenomenology. But now, what about the system that we posit within that phenomenology? For Bowne, it has to be an organic, living, spiritual system. And therefore it is based on 7 conclusive statements in Block 1, Note 4. Under the unity of the infinite, all things are comprised of the unity of the infinite. There are a series of related elementary activities within the infinite that creates manifestation of spatial relation of matter. It is always conditioned by interrelation. It is guided by the infinite plan of the whole. The activities within infinite pass from form to higher form to higher form, moving toward kingdom. And that will include variations in intensity and variations in character. It will progress through movement from form to higher form. Organic, living, spiritual movement is essential for understanding cosmology or system for Professor Bowne. We posit a living, self-actualizing agency of system. System becomes agency. Remember, it becomes causal unit for Professor Bowne. It becomes a causal unit. It brings about its own realization. It is self-realizing. And it includes necessarily positing a conscious, knowing subject, unitary conscious subject. So this lesson really does bring to conclusion the section on system or cosmology, which follows the first part of the book, which was on phenomenology, because metaphysics has to be, for Bowne, a complete phenomenology, which includes a posited, organic, living, spiritual system. And then there's going to be a return moment, and the return moment is going to be state of mind, the sustainment and growth and maturity of state of mind. And so this wraps up cosmology. This takes us up through page 348, and we will take a look at the next section on psychology, or the return moment of state of mind, next.